Reinhold, who is Reinhold?
Who is Reinhold? Good question. I carry a German passport. I haven't been living there for the last 30 some years, been around the world. I have done basically nothing else than food, services, nutrition, marketing, sales, manufacturing, and big part of sales in many parts of that world. Besides Germany, in Switzerland, in China, many years in Beijing, 10 in Beijing, in Hong Kong, in Bangkok, a couple of years in Turkey, so in Istanbul. So I've been around and I'm a big passionista when it comes to B2B businesses.
Oh my God. That's the reason why we have Reinhold today with us, right?
The company we speak about is Nestlé. And everybody knows Nestlé is a consumer goods company, and the prime reason for existence is to make good tasting, healthy products, putting on a shelf towards the consumer. That provides 90% of the revenue of the business. That's the raison d'être. However, consumption of consumers is some split 50-50 about out-of-home and in-home consumption, if you would simplify it, split it like.
What are the challenges of doing B2B and B2C, and what are the opportunities?
Looking at it as a business allows to consider that's a different route to market, different decision-making process, different market margin structure, also different market size, different drop size, different customer behavior.
Everything different.
Even if it's the same product. And that can be a bit of the summary of the challenges and requires to maneuver, because you cannot eliminate the core of the company, the DNA, the soul of the company. You have to contribute despite having a different business on hand. And that can be a challenge or an opportunity, depends how you look at it. You have to realize when you're going into a room with, let's say, 100 people of the same organization in there, 5% at best know what you're talking about. 95 have not a bad intention, they just don't know. As a base to bring evolution and change.
Welcome to JustB2B Leaders, a podcast in which we interview leaders of B2B companies, whose goal is to generate better, more predictable and more scalable business through the transformation of their organizations.
Thank you for connecting again with JustB2B Leaders podcast. Today we are with Reinhold Jakobi. Reinhold, who is Reinhold?
Who is Reinhold? Good question. I carry a German passport. I haven't been living there for the last 30 some years, been around the world. I have done basically nothing else than food, services, nutrition, marketing, sales, manufacturing, and big part of sales during my entire life, from birth, so to speak, in many parts of that world. Besides Germany, in Switzerland, in China.
Wow.
Many years in Beijing, 10 in Beijing, in Hong Kong, in Bangkok, a couple of years in Turkey, so in Istanbul. So I've been around and I'm a big passionista when it comes to B2B businesses.
Oh my God. That's the reason why we have Reinhold today with us, right? So Reinhold, how we met each other?
Yeah, that's a funny one. Actually, a colleague shared your Forbes article on doing B2B business in a consumer goods company with me. And I found it so interesting that I did use the article and shared it with the entire leadership of the company. It's not a small one. And trying to tease the organization a little bit, because you managed to speak out of my soul without having ever met. And then I reached out to you on LinkedIn. You were very kind to reply quite rapidly, and that's how we came together. And today here we sit in Barcelona and talk to each other.
Very good, very good. Today I want to learn from you on your perspective on basically on two things, right? What are the challenges of doing B2B and B2C, and what are the opportunities? Let's start by the challenges. What do you think are the challenges of leading a B2B business unit, a B2B division in a B2C company? What do you think are the main challenges?
Well, I'm speaking first of my own experience, and I didn't mention it in the introduction, but the company we speak about is Nestlé. And everybody knows Nestlé is a consumer goods company, and the prime reason for existence is to make good tasting, healthy products, putting on a shelf towards the consumer. That provides 90% of the revenue of the business. That's the raison d'être. However, consumption of consumers is some split 50-50 about out-of-home and in-home consumption, if you would simplify it, split it like that. But if you do have an organization where every process is built on a certain business model, not bad, it's just the core, is the history, is the passion of most of the people.
The DNA.
The DNA, it is, you're right. And then you're coming with something which is actually not a channel. I mean, it's a bit of semantics, but I'm always quite adamant to highlight that this is a business rather than limiting it a bit as a channel view. There are many channels here and many channels there, but looking at it as a business allows to consider that's a different route to market, different decision-making process, different market margin structure, also different market size, different drop sizes, different customer behavior.
Everything different.
Even if it's the same product. And that can be a bit of the summary of the challenges and requires to maneuver, because you cannot eliminate or you cannot bypass the core of the company, the DNA, the soul of the company. You have to contribute to it despite having a different business on hand. And that can be a challenge or an opportunity, depends how you look at it.
What are the organizational challenges? What is the part where you what's harder for you because you are leading an important part of the revenue, right? In Nestlé. What are the organizational topics that you would, if somebody is listening to you and they are in the same position as you in another company, what are the main things you have learned that it will become a challenge for them from an organizational point of view?
Yeah. The easiest thing to say is allocation of resources. Resources for R&D and resources for capital investment.
Okay.
Because often you have a different return of invested capital. And it requires not worth, but a different way of calculating. And that for most of colleagues acting in that field, the ones I know too, comes as the highest barrier, because it's so entrenched. And in particular, in sizable organizations, you have very strong processes for very good reasons. But those processes are structured around the DNA, the
B2C.
the backbone, I'd like to
Product,
refer to
right?
that. And that needs tenacity, it needs storytelling, it needs the ability to show why one needs to have or is well advised as an organization to have a differentiated view for an easily well-defined business. I find it easy, the definition, but then to make the decision and have this going through the organization, through a matrix, where usually simple processes are very beneficial and every complexity can be an enemy. That's the art, and in my view, much more of an art than a science. Speaking to an engineer.
So you mentioned the word storytelling. Well, could you develop on that? You mean because I always have the doubt. Strong B2C professionals, do you think they don't understand B2B, or it's just a topic of it's awareness? Is that it's too far from their reality? Why do you think that this storytelling can become something powerful? I understand that you meant internal storytelling,
Yes,
right?
yes. The external one is easier.
Compared to the internal one.
For sure. In my view, but it is.
I made 7 questions in one, so
Yeah.
you answered the way you want.
Yeah, go around.
Why storytelling?
Yeah.
Do you believe that great B2C professionals, they don't understand? It's a matter of not understanding. It's a matter of not paying the time to understand. Because it's not B2B or B2C, it's B2B and B2C, of course.
Sure, yes. Storytelling is to capture the attention. One needs to capture the attention. You have to realize when you're going into a room with, let's say, 100 people of the same organization in there, 5% at best know what you're talking about. 95 have not a bad intention, or they just don't know. And they have a full task list to do the best they can with the job they have on hand. So I have all sympathy that there is not a lot of bandwidth to extend beyond what they already have to manage. So a good storytelling is required to capture the attention as a base to bring evolution and change.
Okay, that's good. So for the Reinholds of the world, your advice is that you need an internal marketing machine through storytelling to inspire about the benefits to consider on the daily operation, on the daily meetings, to consider B2B within their B2C regular type of doing things, right?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
And you've mentioned it, it's not either or. The utilizing both.
Yeah.
And then it's a win-win. But that would be a good way how you just summarized it. Because people know, in their gut, they know. And in the food industry, of course, everybody goes for dinner, everybody travels, has a beverage on an aircraft, goes to a restaurant. So of course, people know even that brands are more often built out of home, in my case B2B out of home, than they are built in home, because they are built with experiences, product experiences, and especially if you consume something.
I'm going to get out of the questions that I told you that we were going to discuss, because it just came to my mind. You know, I talk about B2B culture, right? Which for me is just, for me, culture are all those behaviors that happens in a company. The B2B culture is the one that the client, the second B, can observe from us, right? Yeah. So somehow in a company doing both, we need two cultures. That's my theory, right? Do you think it's possible? Do you think a B2C culture, product-driven, can exist at the same time than a B2B culture, which has to be much more problem-driven, client problem-driven? Mm-hmm. What is your, because theoretically, no. You cannot have a company with two cultures, right? What is your view there? How you manage that?
Actually, I think it does require, if I would go as far as describing it as a culture, I don't know. But there needs to be at least a mindset, if that would be the different level of culture. So first you have a backbone structure in an organization. And for me, this is a fantastic base to build on. Sourcing, manufacturing, R&D, financing, logistics. And then you have these different businesses requiring, let's say, culture. And this B2C culture in the industry I'm in is actually one where you succeed on managing conflict. It's a high degree of conflict when you open the newspapers, you listen to the news all the time there. Price increases and so on and so forth, environmental aspects, and whatever it touches, of course, nutritional aspects. Out of home, in the B2B piece.
Could you clarify what is out of home for?
That would be restaurants, that would be catering for the
people.
audience. Sorry, I should have done that before. I'm speaking so much out of my heart and of the passion. But it's, you have somebody doing something with the product.
Yeah.
Whereas when you say
and the end client will not realize.
Sometimes yes. Sometimes no.
Sometimes no. Right.
Most of the time, probably no. And the value of the brand is a different one. Once it is a brand towards the consumer, on the other side, on my side,
brand
it is
to the
professional, to the operator.
Yeah.
And you're winning by building on each other, because a B2B professional, a restaurant, to go back to that, or a catering professional, usually they'd like to work with a partner they can rely on. Rely on the quality of the product, on the delivery. The pricing is important, but is not the most important part. Because if we don't deliver, the customer has nothing to sell. If you would go to McDonald's and let's say we would do the soft serve ice cream there and we say, no, this week we don't deliver, that's a problem.
That's a problem,
Yeah.
a big problem, right?
You do that with the Carrefour, also a problem, but on the shelf are 4 other products. And then there's a penalty, and then there's conflict management. That you don't do in out of home. You never, or in food service, you never want to reach that stage. So there is a different culture required, a customer problem-solving culture required, a partnering culture. Whereas on the more, let's call it retail side, I mean, of course, service, delivery, quality is super important. But it's a bit of a different relationship. And the margin structure is very, very different.
Yeah.
Very different.
Yeah.
And for good reasons.
And attractive somehow.
But they're both
Different.
attractive.
Yeah.
But in a retail environment, your capital requirements are very different. Most of the time we have paid a long time to our retailers as customers, then the retailers pay the suppliers. So it's a very different environment.
We are working with a bank and B2C bank, retail bank, and corporate banking bank. And the Reinhold of the bank said to me once, you know what we have achieved? Now everybody understands the difference. Which is a big achievement.
For sure, I congratulate him.
I said to her, she was a she. I said to her, okay, at least they understand the music. And she said, yes, but they don't know how to sing the song. Which is okay.
That's a very good one.
It's okay. They understand. It's not B2B or B2C, it's B2B and B2C, and both sides understand each other, and both sides understand that they are different rhythms, different talent needed, and so on and so on. Okay, so let's move to the second part. Imagine that you are talking to the CEO of a B2C company, that they are wondering to build a B2B business unit, but they never did before. What are for you the opportunities that you would say to this CEO that is listening to you? Imagine that you are day 0 and you are considering to put in your next business plan 2026 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
What are the top 2-3 opportunities that you see building this B2B division?
I would start to highlight your B2B part to be built will be an integral part to strengthen your B2C business. You will have a stronger, let's call it core, B2C business if you are building a solid B2B business next to it. Because you're building on the backbone a different leg which doesn't cannibalize on the other leg, and you have the possibility, depending on the industry you're in, to market test, to get market resonance a long time before you have to go into a very costly B2C exercise.
That's funny because this is, sorry to interrupt, but this was a feedback I got from a small company called Volkswagen. and she said to me, very small, she said to me, she was the managing director of Volkswagen, and she said exactly the same. If you do good in B2B, this will strengthen your B2C, and if you do good in B2C, it will strengthen B2B. So it really helps each other. Why do you think the B2B can help making the B2C strength? Why? It's because we have this chance to really talk to have a real relevant conversation with one client, and this becomes what are the reasons behind for you?
Brand credibility.
Okay.
Is for me a very big part. So if you are advertising as Volkswagen that you have, or as any car company, you have a very reliable car, it is or a vehicle. It has here and there and these qualifications and qualities. Qualifications different. Sorry. And you put that in a newspaper ad, you put that in a TV ad, but it's still your ad. However, if let's say the gardener down the street is using this Volkswagen,
Yeah, that's a different
and
story.
is demonstrating what it can do, and there is an experience.
Yeah.
That is advocacy without
Yeah.
being an advocate.
Yeah.
And of course, you build on your backbone. Well, if you would have to build a
And you
business,
kill 3 birds in one shot.
absolutely.
It's like this hotel chain network runs Nestlé Professional, right?
for example, yeah.
It becomes the effort of working with them returns back to you, in, becoming like an endorsement, right? It's not one individual
Right.
consuming your products, but it's a complete company trusting Nestlé Professional. That's a very good point.
We all know, taking an example from a couple of years back, shoes, Nike, Air Jordan. Oh, you don't show the shoe. You say, oh, show Michael Jordan playing with it. And you don't need to say anything anymore.
Yeah. Credibility.
Yeah.
Top 2 reasons for this CEO listening to you. Why would it be worth to create a B2B division within their B2C activity?
I don't want to judge industries I'm not familiar with, but all what I have seen is and that is then more of a science than an art. To start with the science, realizing what your strengths and your backbone structures are, and then how relatively inexperienced it is to enter a different business segment, not channel, let's stick with the wording of business, where you have a different P&L structure. So the economics, I think, arrogantly, without knowing all the industries, are, by using a scientific approach, are relative obvious. And then comes the opportunity of the market, which is untouched when you're focusing on a B2C part without having the B2B requirements taken into consideration. So I think it's, but I recommend you've got to have a dedicated team, a dedicated focus on that business, and with the right skill set. That is very important.
So you said this will bring you the capability to cover a territory that today you are not covering. So somehow it's an added business. In terms of financials, you will discover a different P&L with a different structure, which can definitely bring you a different contribution to your business. And then you put the bat, of course, right? This requires the right people, the right processes, probably the right data, right? I think that...
sorry, we said you build credibility for your core business.
Yeah.
No, that's advocacy in its specific way, sorry.
A similar guest I had once in a similar situation said predictability. B2C and the way consumers consume is less and less predictable. B2B, the more that the world is getting complicated, it's more and more predictable because people don't like to change. So if you really succeed gaining a client, right, overcoming this risk and this perception of risk with trust, once you win this account, once you win this relationship, the guy was saying it's incredible. It's much more slow. It's not that it takes time, but whenever you win trust can be, so this account can be 20 years in your P&L, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen this part as do you think that this is a very important and sexy part of building this, which brings a lot of stability to the finance side of the product? Very good. Any other thing you want to share, Reinhold? Any last comment? Any last thing you want to share with people listening to you about how great is doing B2B in a B2C company?
It's fun. It's fun. Yes, it is, because you're touching all parts of the business usually. In my part, in my responsibility, at least, you go through brands, geographies, customer, different channels within the B2B segment.
And you are always the different guy in the room.
Always. And certainly, yes. And sometimes for the better, sometimes for less good. No, it is, you are listened to, because you do have something others in the room don't have that much anymore. Is you're closer to the decision making, you're closer to the business, and yes, it is less volatile. It is more predictable. It doesn't fall easily when you do your job and look after your customers. Of course, you got to look after your customers.
Thank you very much. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you guys for connecting, and thanks to Reinhold.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.